What if I told you that the real secret to getting rich has nothing to do with how smart you are, how hard you work, or even how much you earn, but how long you're willing to wait? This is something most people simply can't handle. In a world addicted to instant results, patience has become a lost art. Yet it's the one skill that quietly separates those who build lasting fortunes from those who spend their entire lives chasing shortcuts. Imagine two farmers at the start of planting season. The first one, we'll call him Instant Gratification Gary, is excited, hopeful, and full of energy. He plants his seeds and then checks them the next day. Nothing. Day 3, still nothing. By day 7, he starts to worry. 2 weeks in, he sees a few tiny sprouts and thinks, "That's it? After all that work?" Frustrated, he digs up the soil to check if something's wrong. He replants different seeds, hoping for faster results. But when the same thing happens again, he loses faith, gives up, and tells everyone farming doesn't work. Now picture the second farmer, Patient Pete. He plants the same seeds, waters them daily, and doesn't expect miracles overnight. On day 3, nothing. Day 15, a few green shoots peek out. He keeps watering, keeps showing up. By day 45, the field begins to come alive. By day 90, he's harvesting. Year after year, his yield grows larger until the once impatient Gary drives past his farm, wondering how Pete's field turned into a sea of abundance. Here's what Gary never understood, and what most people in the modern world don't either. Compound growth is invisible before it's unstoppable. The first few years of wealth building feel painfully slow. Your first investment barely moves. Your first side business might break even if you're lucky. Your first real estate deal, maybe just enough to pay the bills. But that's exactly how nature works. Trees don't explode out of the ground in a week. The roots grow first, deep, unseen, uncelebrated. And yet most people quit before the roots take hold. They want the fruits of success without the seasons of patience. Take Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history. 99% of his wealth came after he turned 50. Let that sink in. For decades, he wasn't some global billionaire. He was simply planting and watering, year after year. When compounding finally took off, his wealth curve didn't just rise, it exploded. That's the farmer's patience. It's the courage to stay consistent when the world tells you it's not working. It's continuing to invest, save, and learn while others hop from one next big thing to another. Think about it. While one person is quitting their third business this year because it's not growing fast enough, another person is quietly running the same small company they started 5 years ago. And now that quiet consistency is turning into $1 million business. While one person is jumping from crypto to stocks to real estate, hoping for a quick hit, someone else has been dollar cost averaging into simple index funds for 10 straight years. One of them will still be chasing trends at 60, the other will be financially free. It's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's patience. And yet patience is the hardest thing in the world right now, because we're trained to crave instant results. You post a photo, you get likes, you buy something, you feel good right away. But building wealth happens on nature's timeline, not the internet's. That's why most people never experience the magic of compounding. They pull their financial seeds out of the soil before they have time to grow. They quit their investment plan after 12 months, saying, "This isn't working." But the truth? The magic was about to begin in year 3, year 5, or year 10. Here's the painful irony. The path to becoming rich looks boring for the first few years. It's repetitive, it's quiet, it doesn't feel successful. But that's exactly why it works. Because while everyone else is distracted by the noise, you're focused on the process. Real wealth is built by people who are willing to do the same small, smart thing over and over again, while everyone else keeps starting over. So if you want to become rich without anyone noticing, start by mastering the art of patience. Be the farmer who keeps watering even when nothing seems to be growing. Because one day, when your tree finally bears fruit, the same people who laughed at your slow progress will be asking how you did it. And when they do, remember this truth. Success doesn't come to those who move fastest. It comes to those who refuse to stop moving. That's the first secret the rich understand, the farmer's patience. Everyone says they want to be rich, but very few are willing to pay the price that wealth demands. That's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. They dream of financial freedom, passive income, luxury, and independence, but when asked what they're willing to give up to get it, the room suddenly goes silent. The truth is, wealth doesn't come to those who wish, it comes to those who sacrifice. Let's travel back in time to a story from the ancient markets, where two merchants began their journeys with the same amount of money, the same dreams, and the same opportunity. The first one, let's call him Weekend Warrior, hears that a great trading season is coming in 6 months. Perfect, he thinks. Plenty of time. So on Friday nights, he's at the tavern, laughing with friends. Saturday mornings, he sleeps in. Sunday afternoons, he relaxes because he believes he's earned his rest. In his mind, work-life balance means enjoying life now and worrying about success later. When trading season arrives, he shows up with the same generic goods as everyone else: cheap fabrics, common spices, predictable trinkets. He makes a few sales, just enough to get by, but nothing changes. His life remains exactly as it was before. The second merchant, Sacrifice Sam, hears the same news, but reacts differently. While Weekend Warrior is drinking at the tavern, Sam is studying last season's trade records. He wants to know which goods sold out fastest and which regions had unmet demand. While others are sleeping, he's visiting workshops, learning how each product is made, and building relationships with craftsmen who can give him exclusive deals. On Sundays, instead of resting, he's traveling to nearby towns to understand what customers actually need but can't find. When trading season begins, the results are night and day. Weekend Warrior sets up his stall, surrounded by 30 other merchants selling identical goods, fighting for every customer. Meanwhile, Sam arrives with unique products people have been searching for all year. He doesn't just sell out, he dominates. By the end of the season, his wealth has doubled. That's what sacrifice looks like. And here's the lesson. Every wealthy person you admire, whether they're a successful entrepreneur, investor, or creator, spent years doing what others refused to do. They sacrificed comfort for progress, short-term fun for long-term freedom. While their friends were binge-watching Netflix, they were learning new skills. While others were celebrating weekends, they were working on side projects. While the world scrolled through social media, they were building assets that would one day make them free. This isn't about becoming a monk or giving up happiness. It's about trading temporary pleasure for permanent peace. Because freedom isn't free. It's earned through choices that don't feel good today, but change everything tomorrow. Think about it this way. Every hour you spend today is an investment, either in your future or in your distractions. If you spend 20 hours a week building wealth, learning, investing, creating, that's over 10,000 hours in a decade. 10,000 hours of skill, knowledge, and progress. That's mastery. But if you spend 20 hours a week watching TV and scrolling through your phone, that's also 10,000 hours, wasted. The same time passes. The difference is what you chose to sacrifice it for. Most people never realize that they're already sacrificing something. They just happen to sacrifice their dreams instead of their comfort. And here's the brutal math. If you give your 20s and 30s to learning, building, and investing, you can own your 40s and 50s. But if you spend your 20s chasing entertainment, your 40s will be spent chasing stability. The wealthy understand this trade. They know that discipline now equals freedom later. They understand that saying no to the crowd today means saying yes to options tomorrow. Sacrifice doesn't mean pain, it means focus. Every time you turn down a distraction, you're saying yes to your future self. Every early morning, every late night, every dollar saved, every course taken, every risk endured, it all compounds. Because wealth isn't built in bursts, it's built in silence, through small sacrifices no one claps for. And someday, when those sacrifices turn into freedom, the same people who told you to live a little will wonder how you created such a big life. They'll never understand that you were living fully all along. You just chose to delay the rewards. This is the second secret of the truly rich, the merchant's sacrifice. They don't chase comfort, they chase purpose, and purpose always demands a price. There's a strange paradox in the pursuit of wealth. The more you talk about your goals, the less likely you are to achieve them. Most people don't realize this, but silence is one of the most powerful tools the rich use to protect their dreams. Let me tell you a story that's been told for generations. A story of two builders who both dreamed of constructing magnificent monuments that would outlast them. The first builder, tell everyone Tom, was overflowing with excitement. The moment the idea came to him, he couldn't keep it to himself. He told his family at dinner, his friends at the pub, and even strangers who didn't ask. He posted about it online, showing sketches and blueprints, sharing his grand vision of the building that would change his life. And what did he hear in return? That's too ambitious. What if it fails? You'll lose everything. Nobody's ever done that here before. Each comment, each doubt, was like a small poison dart. Tom started to second-guess himself. Maybe they were right. Maybe it was too risky. Maybe he wasn't ready. Months later, his plans still sat on the table, covered in dust. The building never began. Then there was Silent Steve. He had the exact same vision, but a completely different approach. He told no one. When people asked what he was working on, he'd just smile and say, "A small project. No details, no validation seeking, no performance." While others were talking, Steve was building, quietly studying architecture, saving money for materials, building relationships with skilled craftsmen. He worked in silence, focused, undistracted. 2 years later, a breathtaking structure stood on the hill, a masterpiece that became the talk of the region. When people asked how it appeared out of nowhere, Steve just smiled. Here's what most people never learn. Every time you share your dream with someone who can't see it, you give them the power to shrink it, not out of malice, but out of their own limitations. When you tell an average mind about an extraordinary goal, their instinct is to protect themselves from discomfort. Your ambition makes them question their own choices, so without realizing it, they plant doubt in your mind to make themselves feel safe. It's not that they want you to fail, it's that your potential reminds them that they stopped trying. Psychologists have actually proven this effect. Studies show that when you talk about your goals, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that makes you feel rewarded. You get a false sense of accomplishment just from saying it out loud. Your brain tricks you into thinking you've already made progress. That's why most dream sharers never become dream achievers. They get addicted to the feeling of validation instead of the satisfaction of execution. The wealthy, however, understand something deeper. They protect their ambitions like state secrets. They don't announce their investments, their business ideas, or their next move. They move in silence and let their results make the noise. This isn't arrogance, it's strategy, because real builders know that energy wasted on talking could have been spent on creating. Think about it. The world's most successful entrepreneurs weren't broadcasting every step of their journey on social media. They were too busy doing the work. The best investors don't tweet their portfolio every day. They're quietly analyzing data. The most successful creators don't talk about their plans. They release their finished work when it's ready. Silence doesn't mean secrecy. It means focus. It means choosing progress over performance. It means doing the work in private so that when the results appear, they speak for themselves. If you want to get rich without anyone noticing, learn from Silent Steve. Keep your goals quiet. Protect your energy. Let your execution whisper in the shadows until your success roars in the light. Because the truth is, you don't owe the world an explanation for your ambitions. You owe yourself the discipline to bring them to life. That's the third secret of the unseen wealthy, the wise builder's silence. They understand that a dream spoken too soon becomes fragile, but a dream built in silence becomes unbreakable. Let me tell you something that might completely change how you see wealth. The people who look rich, the ones flashing cars, vacations, and designer clothes, are often the ones who are struggling the most. Meanwhile, the real millionaires? They walk among us quietly, wearing what they've owned for years, living in modest homes, and rarely showing off. It sounds unbelievable, but it's one of the biggest illusions in modern life. To understand why, let's step back into another old story, a story of two kings. The first king, Flashy Frank, inherited a kingdom overflowing with gold. But from the moment he took the throne, he wanted everyone to know just how powerful he was. He ordered golden robes, built the largest palace in the land, and hosted feasts so extravagant that bards sang songs about them. Every decision he made was driven by one desire: to be admired. But here's the problem. All that admiration came at a cost. Every robe, every feast, every marble tower drained his kingdom's treasury. Within a few years, Frank's finances were collapsing, but he couldn't stop. His ego depended on the illusion of wealth. To look powerful, he had to keep spending, even when there was nothing left. Then came humble Henry, a king of equal inheritance but entirely different values. He wore simple clothes, ate modest meals, and lived in a palace that was comfortable but not grand. People whispered that he was dull, unremarkable, even stingy. But what they didn't see was what he was building behind the scenes. While Frank threw feasts, Henry built farms and roads. While Frank bought gold, Henry invested in trade routes. While Frank tried to impress, Henry tried to improve. And in 10 years, Henry's kingdom was thriving, rich beyond measure, while Frank's had fallen into ruin. Now replace those two kings with people in your neighborhood today. The person posting vacation pictures from Paris might have put it all on a credit card. The neighbor with the luxury car might be leasing it, living paycheck to paycheck. The coworker with the designer bag might be drowning in debt just to maintain the image of success. Meanwhile, the quiet family down the street driving a 10-year-old Toyota, shopping at Costco, and clipping coupons, they might have a 7-figure investment portfolio. Here's why. Every dollar you spend on looking rich is a dollar you take away from becoming rich. That $900 car payment for a luxury SUV, if invested instead at an 8% annual return, it could turn into over $1 million in 30 years. But most people never make that calculation because the need to look wealthy blinds them to the power of compounding. And here's where psychology plays a cruel trick. People who feel insecure about money spend to prove they have it. People who actually have money spend less because they have nothing to prove. That's why true wealth whispers and fake wealth screams. The wealthiest person I know drives an old Honda Civic and wears jeans from Walmart. But behind that simplicity lies ownership of real estate, of investments, of freedom. Meanwhile, the people showing off usually own only one thing: debt. Society teaches us to chase appearance over substance, but here's the truth most will never understand. The ultimate luxury is peace of mind. It's not the house with the biggest rooms, it's the ability to sleep at night without worrying about bills. It's not the flashy watch, it's the time freedom to spend your days as you choose. When you stop trying to impress others, you begin to build a life that truly impresses you. And that's what the wealthy understand. They wear an invisible crown, not one made of diamonds or gold, but one made of confidence, control, and quiet freedom. So the next time you see someone showing off, remember, what you're really seeing is the cost of insecurity. But when you meet someone grounded, calm, and content, you're probably standing next to someone truly rich. Because real power doesn't need to shout. It just exists, steady, silent, and unstoppable. That's the fourth secret the rich live by, the invisible crown. They understand that what's unseen is often the most valuable thing of all. Here's the part that most people will find hardest to accept. If you truly want to build wealth, freedom, and peace of mind, you have to disappear for a while. Not from life, not forever, but from the noise. Because while the world performs success online, the real builders are working in silence. Let me tell you a story about two monks. Both joined the same monastery on the same day, seeking wisdom and peace. The first monk, Attention Andy, loved being seen as devoted and enlightened. He made sure everyone noticed when he prayed. He asked the master constantly for validation. Am I progressing fast enough? He spent hours talking with other monks about how spiritual he felt, how deep his meditations were, how close he was to achieving enlightenment. And yet years later, Andy hadn't changed. His words grew, but his wisdom didn't. He was addicted to the appearance of progress, not the reality of it. The second monk, Silent Sam, had no need to be seen. He didn't talk about his growth. He lived it. He practiced quietly, disappearing into deep focus for years. He sought no recognition, no applause, no comparisons. 5 years later, when he finally emerged from his solitude, something in him had transformed. He radiated calm, power, and clarity. The master appointed him to teach others, not because of what he said, but because of what he had become. When Andy asked, "How did you change so much?" Sam simply replied, "I stopped performing." That is the monk's discipline, the final and most powerful secret of wealth. Because wealth, like wisdom, grows in silence. You can't build it while you're performing for approval. You can't build it while you're addicted to validation. Every second you spend proving yourself to others is energy stolen from the real work that could change your life. Social media has turned wealth building into performance art. Everyone wants to look like they're winning. They share screenshots, motivational quotes, and success updates to prove progress. But here's the truth. The people who talk the most about success usually have the least of it. The real winners are invisible while they're working. They're not announcing their investments, they're researching. They're not documenting their hustle, they're doing it. They're not chasing likes, they're chasing results. Every empire begins in silence. The foundation is built when nobody's watching. The discipline to stay quiet when others crave attention. That's what separates the wealthy from the noisy. You don't need to delete social media forever, but you need to go dark while you're building. No updates, no humble brags, no I'm grinding posts. The world doesn't need to know what you're doing. Let them see it when it's finished. Disappear now, emerge later. That's the ancient discipline that turns vision into reality. Because when you disappear, something magical happens. Your energy stops scattering. Your mind clears. You become unstoppable. And the same people who ignored you before will one day ask how you did it. Now let's bring all 5 secrets together. The farmer's patience teaches you to persist through the seasons of boredom, trusting that compound growth is happening even when you can't see it. The merchant's sacrifice reminds you that freedom has a price, and every hour you waste on distractions is an hour stolen from your future. The wise builder's silence protects your dreams from small minds and keeps your focus unshaken. The invisible crown shows you that real wealth doesn't scream, it whispers. And finally, the monk's discipline gives you the courage to vanish into the work that will one day set you free. These aren't just nice stories. They're a blueprint, a timeless formula for anyone who wants to create lasting success while the rest of the world chases illusions. Because the truth is simple. The wealthiest people in the world didn't get there by seeking attention. They got there by mastering patience, sacrifice, silence, simplicity, and focus. Maybe you won't go viral for being patient. Maybe nobody will applaud your sacrifices. Maybe your quiet consistency won't earn likes or followers. But when the time comes, and it will, you'll stand where few ever do, free, independent, and untouchable. So ask yourself, which one of these 5 traits do you need most right now? Patience, sacrifice, silence, simplicity, or the discipline to disappear? Whichever one it is, start today. Because every small action compounds. Every focused day plants another seed. Every quiet night of work builds another brick in your invisible empire. Your ancestors built empires in silence. They didn't announce, they achieved. They didn't perform, they produced. And when the world finally saw their greatness, it was already too late to doubt them. The choice is yours. You can keep performing your struggle or start building your empire. The world doesn't belong to the loud. It belongs to the focused. It belongs to those who disappear into the shadows and emerge in the light. This is Mike Compound, and now you know how to get rich without anyone noticing.